Good morning to all our lovely guests.
Good morning, everyone.
My name is Shoshana Lamont.
And I'm Shayon McCoy. Welcome to the annual BA CAT final year exhibition entitled Media Walk, Preserving Our Virtual Footprint.
We'll be your hosts for today as we guide you through this year's exhibition.
Considering that today is recognized as World Telecommunication and Information Society Day under the theme Accelerating our Digital Transformation in Challenging Times, it makes perfect sense for us to have such an event today.
Yes, Shayon. It's definitely a perfect fit as we seek to preserve our virtual footprint, utilizing communication technology efficiently, especially in such turbulent times. Before we get into highlighting the day's proceedings, I'd like to give a warm virtual greeting to our distinguished guests. The Dean of the Faculty of Education and Liberal Studies, Professor Charmaine Barrett, Public Affairs Officer of the U.S. Embassy, Mr. Roberto Delson, and other embassy representatives. Welcome our guest speaker, Mr. George Davis, our panel of powerful women, Mrs. Dion Jackson Miller, Miss Mariah Ramharak, Mr. Nuke Doyle, and Miss Renee Smith. Also, high school and university students alike. Finally, ladies and gentlemen.
We would like to thank all those who made this event possible with their hard work and determination for 4 years, our dedicated lecturers, and of course, the graduating class of 2021, which we are a part of. We have all been faced with difficulties during this time, and so I hope that you all have been taking the necessary precautions to keep safe while we adapt to this new norm. So we can't have you all here with us to share this creative experience. The show must go on as we bring this year's exhibition and portrait and art show to you.
Good stuff, Cheyenne. You know, no matter where we are, whether we're connecting virtually or physically, as proud Jamaicans, we should pay respect to and honor our country. Without further ado, please stand by for the national anthem.
We'll begin today's proceeding with a greeting from the Dean of the Faculty of Education and Liberal Studies, Professor Charmaine Barrett.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's lovely to be here this morning. Mr. Robert Delson, Public Affairs Officer of the U.S. Embassy, Mr. George Davis, our guest speaker, other specially invited guests, final year students of the BA-CAT program, lecturers, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Let me begin by welcoming you to the Faculty of Education and Liberal Studies, the home of the Bachelor of Arts in Communication Arts and Technology. This program is one of 4 courses of study offered by the faculty that equip students with skills and competencies to function in the creative industries. And we want to look at that a little in my greetings this morning. Prior to COVID-19, the creative industries, comprising several subsectors and a wide variety of job descriptions, were identified by JAMPRO as major contributors to Jamaica's gross domestic product, contributing nearly 5% to GDP and generating between $15 and $20 million in revenue, and that is US dollars in revenue annually. But ladies and gentlemen, as we are all aware, since COVID-19, the sector has been hit hard. But I dare say that the pandemic has also been a source of tremendous new activities, tremendous new opportunities, as the digital industry has literally exploded. It is therefore an exciting time for many of the subsectors in which our graduates will engage, as you will see from their work that will be displayed in today's exhibition. I am excited about our final year students who, having made the decision to formalize their training, are now at the end and will be showcasing their work today. Here again, we see that COVID-19 pandemic has served to broaden the experience of our students as they have had to rethink what would normally be a face-to-face showcase into the virtual space, creating more opportunities for additional learning and growth for the students. This is very important. The theme of the event, as our hosts have just highlighted, Media Walk, preserving our virtual footprint, is indicative of the experience to be had throughout the day as the students move us through their various exhibits, comprising various video documentaries, films, radio features, photo essays, campaigns, and websites. And these will focus on a variety of pertinent social issues. I am sure that at the end of the day, we will all feel that it was not only an educational experience, but one of high quality. And so I take the opportunity to commend the students and their advisors on a job well done. And I wish for you all a successful day. Thank you.
That was indeed a greeting. Thank you for that warm greeting, Professor Barrett. We will now move on to a short message from Mr. Roberto Delson, a Foreign Service Officer in the U.S. State Department and the Public Affairs Officer at the Embassy of the United States in Kingston, Jamaica.
Professor Colin Giles, Acting President of the University of Technology, Jamaica, Professor Sherman Barrett, Dean of the Faculty of Education and Liberal Studies, other members of staff at the University of Technology, student exhibitors, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. First, let me say thank you for the opportunity to speak today. Huge congrats to all the final year student exhibitors on this milestone accomplishment. This year's theme of preserving our virtual footprint is quite relevant at this moment. As individuals, but even more so as journalists, when you know the impact of your digital footprint, you take steps to maintain a legacy of integrity and fairness in news reporting. As journalists, you're considered mediators between the people and the government. You educate the public about events and policies and how they affect their lives. It is therefore not just a good idea to have a positive digital footprint, but to take conscious action knowing that your digital footprint has the power to impact and influence your community. The Public Affairs section at the U.S. Embassy manages a very robust educational exchange program, such as the Fulbright and Humphrey Fellowships and the International Visitor Leadership Program, open to all foreign interests. Outside of that, we also believe strongly in the training and development of media practitioners, and has been a part of our mission to Jamaica to support these through various funding opportunities and media tours facilitated by our foreign press centers. I encourage you all to check it out on our website and follow us on social media if you're interested in applying. Over the years, we have partnered with institutions of higher learning, such as the University of Technology, the Press Association of Jamaica, local NGOs, and other media stakeholders with shared values. We remain committed to supporting programs that seek to bolster the exposure and opportunities of local journalists on topics of mutual interest. I commend the University of Technology on executing this virtual media walk. This is an excellent way to shine a spotlight on your students and publicly say, well done. And again, my congratulations to all the student exhibitors. Good luck in all your future endeavors, and hopefully we'll get a chance to meet when the pandemic is behind us. Thank you.
Such kind words from Mr. Adelson. I'm so excited for the item we have next by none other than singer, songwriter, Christopher Lawrence, after which one of our final year students, Peter Gay Bailey, will introduce our guest speaker for this morning.
When the road is long and heavy, when it's dark and I can't see clearly, I will lift mine eyes to the hills from whence my help cometh. My help, it comes from you. Lead me, oh, lead me, oh, lead me to where I've never been before, place I've never seen before. When I come to the end of myself, Father, turn me, Father, turn me. When I come to the end of myself, Father, turn me, Father, turn me. When the road is long and heavy, when it's dark and I can't see my way clearly, I will lift my eyes to the hills from whence my help cometh. My help, it comes from you. So lead me, oh, lead me to where I've never been before, a place I've never seen before. When I come to the end of myself, Father, carry me, Father, carry me. When I come to the end of myself, Father, carry me, Father, carry me. I know my help comes from the Lord, the one who made heaven and earth. You're stronger than any other. One thing that I desire of you is just to be right here with you forever. I'm chasing no other. The end of myself. So lead me, oh, lead me, oh, lead me. Jesus, carry me over. Lead me, oh, lead me, oh, lead me. Carry me over. Lead me, oh, lead me, oh, lead me. When I can't walk on my own, Jesus, lead me, oh, lead me, oh, lead me. Carry me over, lead me, oh, lead me, oh, lead me. Carry me over, lead me, oh, lead me, oh, lead me. When I can't move on my own, Jesus, lead me, oh, lead me, oh, lead me. Carry me over, lead me, oh, lead me, oh, lead me. Thank you.
The task of introducing our guest speaker for today is indeed a great privilege. As a high achiever and two-time valedictorian, student council rep, and senior prefect at Jonathan Grant High School, head boy at St. Joseph's High School, Students' Union vice president, and public relations officer at the University of Technology, Jamaica, this gentleman had already started creating a name for himself at a young age, as he was awarded UTEC's Student Honor, the President's Pin, in 2005. Additionally, the same year, he joined the media fraternity and in just 13 years became the youngest president of the Press Association of Jamaica, an influential body of media practitioners dedicated to democracy and press freedom in Jamaica. In 2012, he became a media columnist and further honed his journalism skills at the radio station Nationwide 90 FM. He became a household name as the managing presenter of the radio show This Morning and co-host of Nationwide at 5 with Cliff Hughes. He also served as manager, news and current affairs officer at Nationwide, then chose to further his career by joining the Sportsmax team, the Caribbean's first regional sports cable channel. He went on to become one of the executive producers at Sportsmax Limited, as well as the host for Sportsmax Zone, a weekday sports and lifestyle magazine show which reaches vast audiences in the Caribbean and the US. Our guest of honor was one of 21 journalists from across the globe who covered the campaign for the 2012 US presidential election. He has editorial oversight for C News, Sportsmax's sister station, which broadcasts Caribbean content to the US and Canada. He is also the host of The Conversation, a current affairs program on Scene TV. Due to his huge impact on the Jamaica Press Association of Jamaica, he was voted in for a second term in office on February 14, 2021. He is also the director of the Public Broadcasting Corporation of Jamaica and chairs its technical committee. Given his huge impact in media, most of us already know whom I'm speaking. So please, help me in welcoming award-winning journalist and broadcaster, Mr.
Thank you very much, Peter Gray. Thank you very much. I hope I'm being heard. Thank you for that very nice introduction. Really nice. Thank you very much. The task ahead of me is clear. It's to speak to the graduates, to all of you, in a short time. I hope I can hit the right notes. I want to start by acknowledging Professor Barrett, the Dean of the Faculty of Education and Liberal Studies. Ms. Marilyn Face is someone I know very well. We worked together at Nationwide. She's, of course, Programs Director. The students who are on who are attending today virtually, and of course the distinguished ladies who will make up the panel for that very well. It promises to be a very interesting discussion later on. I want to thank you all for being here and for sharing in this event. I would expect that UTech students, University of Technology, and of course for the reputation that BACAT has established since the inception, that you'll be putting on something that would be of the standards I'm seeing now. I'm very pleased with what I'm seeing. And, I really, really love UTech. So it is with pride that I see something out of Fells doing this. And when I say Fells, Faculty of Education and Liberal Studies, when I was there, Fells was known for, not exciting, humdrum, but how it has been transformed over time. I'm really, really happy. If I went to space and came back and someone told me that Fells was doing all of these things, I'd have asked them, what, you mean an extension of Bizad? But no, it rivals, surpasses in many respects. It has been a tremendous transformation. And the BACAT program is one of the main reasons why Fells is hip, trending, happening, buzzing, whatever you want to say. It's no longer something that, you look at and meh, it's top drawer now. And thank you for that, for those who have facilitated that. All right, let me get to it now. So what I want to say to the students is this. The most important thing that you can arm yourself with heading into the professional world, whether you're going to with a view of working for an entity or you're going to start something for yourself, it is to develop that sense of self. Now, over time, we have been taught to downplay our own qualities, to not have too much pride, which it is true to tell someone that and to hammer home that message in many respects. But from another perspective, it is good for you to have tremendous pride. And I'm going to come to something related to pride later on. So it is that you were taught these things, and so by virtue of being taught these things, it is that over time many of us don't quickly enough develop a real sense of self. Why I'm stressing a sense of self? Look, the tools that you need to be successful in the organization, the old formula. The recipe rarely changes. You work hard, you are committed, you stick to it, whatever task you're given, you try to stand out. And that's something else I'm going to expand on a little bit. The recipe for success is old. It doesn't need much sprucing up. It's not like a gravy that has been asleep and you need to put some water in it, put it back on the stove, get it bubbling again to come alive. The recipe is old, it is proven. That's what success is. I'm talking about some other things that people may not necessarily be quick to tell you about, and even from a perspective of some things that you have been taught to suppress over time. I am here telling you today that on this day in sports, in 2021, you are going to need to imbue yourself with these things if you're going to be successful and if you're going to stand out. Now, there has never been a better time, I think, to be a journalist than now. There's never been, because you can do journalism from anywhere. There was a time when you went into a newsroom and if you dressed a certain way, if you carried yourself a certain way, people would look at you a certain way and you'd be typecast, and maybe you wouldn't get the access to the upper rungs of the ladder that other people would. So if you went there and you're dressed in a business suit and tie, you say, yes, this man or this lady in a business suit is destined for the top. We're going to invest in them and we're going to push them up. Somebody else comes in and you're wearing the flashy earring and you dye your hair 3 different colors and your clothes is a certain way. They would say, yeah, that person doesn't fit in with the image of the company. If that person does well on their own, fine, but we are not going to go out of our way to facilitate the advancement of that person. Those things have changed. The world is a changed place, and thank God for that. So your employer is more likely to accept you for who you present yourself to be and not put up any barriers to you self-actualizing based on how you present yourself. That's an advantage that this generation has. That's an advantage that people leaving universities now have. You all have that advantage relative to the generations before you. So you have to learn now how to capitalize on that advantage. The sense of self I spoke of. You have to ask yourself, what am I good at? Is what I'm good at enough to survive? What do you want to do when you step through the doors of an organization if you choose to join one? Again, entrepreneurship, there's never been a better time for entrepreneurship, for you to set up your own entity, you and friends, you alone if you have the capital, and go out on your own. I mean, as I said, you can do journalism from anywhere at any time. But if you choose to go in an organization, what do I want to be? I'm coming in, I'm well trained coming out of BACAT. I think I have experience in many areas, and I think that the world is my oyster. They should bow down to me and watch me explode. That attitude, that approach is wrong. You have to work yourself into the culture, and you have to little by little, let your personality shine through. In other words, you can't give them everything all the time. So you can't go full blast the first day or the first week. You have to let people realize who you are, what you are, that you are indeed this way, and try to build from there. But you have to give it in small doses until you reach a point where you can expand further. But you have to have a strong sense of self. You have to know what you're good at. If what you're good at is not good enough, how do I expand my range to incorporate other things that will make me a star here? Do you want to be a star? That's another question. Some people say, I'm leaving BACAT, I just want to produce. I don't want to go on air. I don't want to do anything in front of the camera. I just want to stay behind the camera. I'm saying to you that mindset is not enough, and you are holding yourself back by that mindset, because the landscape is such that varied talents are the ones that will stand out, not the ones who are going into media as if they were graduating from a tertiary institution in the 90s or in the early 2000s, when the roles in the newsroom were rigid. So you had a specialist producer who never went on air for anything. So if anything happens and they are on the road and there's a camera with them, or they have to call in if it's a radio station, they're nervous and not confident giving a report, because that's not what they're used to. They're used to writing a script and giving it to somebody else to voice. There is no place for that person anymore. That person will be left behind because of how dynamic the media landscape is. And because of the dynamism of the media landscape, it will reward those talents that are more varied, that are more versatile. If you look at the people in media who are doing well, those who you look on and say, well, that lady is my role model. You look at Mrs. Jackson Miller, who comes up on the panel later, and she's, her ears must ring. She's used as an example so many times. She started out on radio. Is she only a radio journalist? No. Yeah. She is multifaceted, varied. Of course, she has professional qualifications and competencies outside of media, but all those help to make a total package journalist that if she wanted, she could leave and start something by herself. And I'm not telling her what to do, of course, or giving her any ideas. I'm just saying that the package is so versatile. It is so 360 as a journalist that she has the power to perform well in every area. And that is the example that you should all try to emulate. It's about how well-rounded you can be. It's not about doing a little piece of this and a little piece of that. It's about how you can do multiple areas very, very well. Now, I say to you that you can do journalism from anywhere. Back in the day, when I left UTech and went into a newsroom, you were expected to be at the office for 10 hours every day or 12 hours every day. You could only work from the office. No, you can be in your pajamas. Well, why am I even telling you this? You know this. You can be anywhere, sending in your stories, editing your video, sending them to be posted, or you can post them yourself if you have that authorization. So I'm saying, the reason I'm saying there's never been a better time to be a journalist. Back in the day, my generation and before, we were wedded to a rigid structure. It could only work this way. News only started at 5 o'clock. The print run in newspapers only started at X times. If you wrote a story, you wrote it for the print run at X time. You wrote a story for radio, you wrote it for the 5 o'clock newscast. Just before 5. The TV, same thing for 7 o'clock news. That has changed. Now the news is every time, all the time. So you write a story now, it is going to be put online. No, it needs video. No, it needs pictures. No, it needs the audio to be edited and posted. No, when you leave your office or you sign off for the day, something may happen, as happened late with the Kamina Johnson story with AJ Nichols last week about the rape controversy. That's something that came after the major news was aired on radio at 5. What did they do? Say, okay, you know what? Let's relax until tomorrow we can put it up. No, it had to be done then. So those in the newsroom had to work on the story immediately, compile all the facts, put the background in it for those who didn't know the story and wanted to follow it, and then put the new information on it, put it out with the videos and the pictures and everything else. So I'm saying, BACAT, when I look at what the program offers, and I must say, the program and what it offers marries with the quality student that I'm seeing coming out of BACAT. And I'm not saying that to be platitudinous. I'm saying that by virtue of having the privilege of taking on BACAT students as interns at Sportsmax over the last 2 years, several of them that have come through because I requested that they came on. And what I see in terms of the core competencies, the basic competencies, these are students that are equipped to function in the versatile, the diverse, the dynamic way that media needs people to be at this time. So I'm talking about something I know, the program and what it aspires to do, what it says that the students should be able to master coming out of the program, and how these things marry with the real world fit in terms of what media wants. It is a very good fit at this time. And I want to congratulate those who designed the program and those who continue to look at what is happening in the real world and aligning what they're teaching students, the instructional courses, with the real world requirements and demands. So again, the sense of self. Look, one of the things that people always do, and I'm wrapping up now, one of the things people always do is this. When you are young and you're in an organization and people are trying to assist you, so you have at least two kinds of people. You have more than two, but let's deal with at least two. One, the one who criticizes your work, the one who's in the organization who criticizes you all the time. Then you have the other one who critiques you. So they tell you, all right, so you're doing this wrong. This is how to do it right. Then you have another one who only tells you good things. Oh, that was a great report. Oh, that was a great video you put up. I loved the editing. Even when it's rubbish and other people. So the person who criticizes you, tells you that it's rubbish. The person who critiques you say, you know what? That wasn't so good enough. If you had done this and done that and done that and done that, it would have been better. So of course, you all know the difference between criticism and critique. There's one who criticizes, there was one who critiques, and there's one who is always telling you that this is the best thing ever and everything. We often find ourselves alienating the person who criticizes us. We often find ourselves even alienating the person who gives us critique and loving the person who tells us good things all the time. That is wrong. And the sooner you realize that that is wrong, it's the better for you. The criticism is where your ego comes in. You have to have ego. There's no successful person in this world who doesn't have an ego, who is not stung by criticism, who gets criticized by the critic and who say, hey, all right, I'm going to show you that I am not a person who produces rubbish work. I'm going to show you, I'm going to prove you wrong. And they work at that and turns the critic into a supporter. Then it needs ego as well to respond to the critique, to admit that, all right, so I've fallen short here. Obviously, this person cares for me, which is why they're giving me a critique. So I'm going to show them that their trust in me and confidence in me is worth investing. It's worth the investment, and I'm going to do well. You need to have ego for those things to come together, to come out. And you can't be good at your job, my friends. You cannot be good at your job unless you want to be good. It's not going to happen by accident. You're not going to be doing it every day and one day you get good. No, you have to want to be, and you have to be doing the things that are necessary to be good. And there are so many things that you know already that I'm not going to waste time with time I don't have. I'm just saying to you that you have to have a strong sense of self. You have to know what you are, what ticks you, how well you work in groups, how well you work with people who drag their feet, how well you work with people who are more advanced than you in a particular area, who are stronger than you in a particular area. How do you take things from them without copying them? How do you function if you have a boss who speaks strongly to you? This thing about, boy, I always talk my mind, I'm playing. No, it's rubbish. It can't work in any organization that you're a part of, whether you own the organization or you work in an organization as part of a team. You have to moderate what you say. You have to understand that you can't say everything as you see it all the time. You have to pick your moments when you use strong language. I didn't say insulting language or I don't want to say bad language, but you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, you have to pick your moments when you are going to be furious and attack a problem with fury and venom, and you're going to rant. And you always have to pick your moments when you are calm, cool, and collected. If you don't know yourself, nobody will know and understand you. The things that make you tick, the things that motivate you, what additional motivation you need to find those things. So I finish by saying to you, when you go out into the professional world, you're going to start your own business or you're going to join an organization, that's your plan. You have to do a self-assessment first. What am I? Who am I? How do I function? What are the things that get me ticked off? What are the things that I believe are lacking in my repertoire of skills? Work on the deficits where they emerge, and work on the strengths as well. That's one of the things we don't do. You need to work on your strengths to keep them strong. You also need to work on your weaknesses, and you always need to be criticizing yourself. You should be your greatest critic. Don't give yourself critique. You should criticize yourself. Let others critique you, let others praise you, but you should always be your most vocal and staunchest critic. That self-assessment, so you go into the organization knowing exactly who you are, everything becomes easier after that. And that's my time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Davis, for that wonderful speech. I'm sure that there was something for everyone to take away, especially when you started off by saying that we have to learn to develop a great sense of self, because whether we're starting off, we're going out in the working world, and whether we're going to work for someone or we're going to start our own businesses, we have to be able to do that self-actualization, and we have to realize and ask ourselves, what am I good at? Because a lot of the times it is our passions which help us to be successful in life. And I must say that the BA-CAT program here at the University of Technology Jamaica, it allows for us to be very dynamic. And I must say that our lecturers always encourage us to utilize our gifts and also the skill sets that we learn here at school in order for us to be great in the working world. Before we introduce our next speaker, we'd like to remind you about our poetry and art show beginning at 5 p.m. featuring some of our very own writers. Now please pay attention. This show will premiere only on YouTube at our handle UTech Jamaica. And at this time, I would like to invite our next speaker, Ms. Marilyn Facey, the Program Director for the Bachelor of Arts in Communication Arts and Technology.
Wow, what a year it has been. Our first year of offering the program primarily online, our first year of teaching in a pandemic. Challenges aside, the final year students have again delivered. From concept to execution, days to months, closed labs and crashed computers, their final year projects are now ready to be exhibited. The theme of the 2021 Media Project Exhibition, Media Walk, Preserving Our Virtual Footprint, is quite apt based on the challenges highlighted in our preparation as a program and the country to navigate the digital space, especially in online learning. Today, you will hear experiences and gain new perspectives from women in the media and celebrate our students through their showcase of their projects. The final year student exhibition is the culmination of what students have learned during their years in the BA-CAT, Bachelor of Arts in Communication Arts and Technology, here at the University of Technology Jamaica. Today, you will experience an impressive lineup of short video documentaries, films, radio features, photo essays, campaigns, and websites, which focus on a variety of pertinent social issues developed by the students. This year's event is also being produced by the students in completion of a studio module. Students, supported by staff, have planned and executed this event. They are the hosts, technical team, set designers, cameramen, and audio technicians. They have also written releases, participated in media interviews, created flyers and videos as part of the promotional strategy for this event. Our final year students, through CAT Productions and Practicum, have also been a key part of a national campaign that is taking place this year. All this is part of ensuring that our students have a fulsome experience, that our students exit with the necessary skills and experience to make waves in the industry. With all this creativity in the air, Don't you just wish you were a part of the BACAT family? Come join me now. Before we go on to one of the many highlights of the opening ceremony, the show reel, I would like to highlight a few students whose projects have landed them at the top of each category. For video, Mike Wright, whose project takes the viewer through the process of producing music. Mike also received the top grade for this year. Adrian Blackwood, whose project examined miscarriages from a male perspective. For web and multimedia, Timothy Lewis's website is ready for use this Sunday. He made the practical choice to create a website for his church, given the move to online. It hosts live services, a library of past events, and even avenues for donation through credit card or PayPal. Timothy received the second highest grade this year. In text and images, Ashley Sibley's. Her social media, A Poet's Perspective, is a use of a creative medium to display poetry in a modern style. Ashley, you received the third highest grade. Stephanie Parks, her Hidden is a visual masterpiece. The use of color, text, and layout communicate much more than the depths of the poems alone. For radio, Fiona Wilson's radio documentary on education during a pandemic focused on the experience of one teacher, but it also spoke to the lived realities of many teachers and students. This won her the fourth highest grade. Not to be outdone, Alex Brown's EP, The Youths Are the Future, is a professional grade at a student level. Alex, who wrote and sang the songs on the EP, takes us through a journey of a young man making wrong choices. He is counseled to be wise as the youths are the future. For campaign, Ashley Sims' campaign, The Other Half, explored a topic that is not often raised in Jamaica, toxic masculinity. And what does that mean in our context? Following close behind is Chrysanthia Robinson's campaign, Behind Closed Doors, which highlighted the issue of domestic violence. While I cannot highlight all the work or the works of all the students on display today, I thought it important to congratulate these students and their advisors who rose above and beyond the challenges of the past year. All these projects will be available for viewing during the exhibition. Do enjoy and get to know the students and the program through this showcase. Finally, Alana Harvey's trailer, More Than a Mirror Fight, which looked at the issue of body distortion, took first place in that category in the 2021 Lignum Vitae Film Festival. Congratulations, Alana, and keep on shining, BACAT family.
Thank you so much, Ms. Facey, for the kind words, words which surely hit home. It was indeed a challenge, especially planning and executing a project during this pandemic. But with support of friends and facilitators, we overcame the struggle. This exhibition will allow for us to show you all the final products, which makes this entire process worth every penny.
We're inching closer and closer to the main event, the Media Walk. And your treat for being so true to us, for sticking around with us thus far, is a sneak peek into what is going to be. So be prepared. Also, my guests, please be sure to take a screenshot and post on your social media. Post, using the hashtags, hashtag MediaWalk 2021, hashtag BACAT, and hashtag UTech.
Do you think they're ready?
Well, I hope they are.
I hope so too. Let us know in the chat if you're ready to see a sneak peek of what is to come later on in the exhibition.
Well, I know I am, Shayan. I am yet to see much of my colleagues' work.
So have I. It looks like they're ready over there in the chat.
Okay, well, let's not waste any time. Ladies and gentlemen, pay close attention to your screens as we introduce to you the trailer show reel for our media projects.
New government.
Give thanks.
Sing it.
You know, every day.
Realest thing here in our world, brother.
We give thanks.
For real.
You spend all that money on your watch. How much time you spend with your son? So much money in the club. How much you spend with the ones you love? The simple things are your blessings. Simple things, them are your blessings, your blessing. Simple things are your blessing. And you don't notice your blessings. You pick it with the shoes by your feet. Now pick and choose the friends where you keep. You now watch where you eat. When last you get a good sleep. The simple things are your blessings. Simple things are your blessing, your blessing. Simple things are your blessing. You better notice your blessing.
Sing it. Simplicity we use to survive. Many find it difficult because them ignorant and I. One alone they get in, I go live another life. Telling them again, but I know in a device. Life, no get chance too often. Cut out some of the sadness and invest in a laughing. Time you take a stress, lifetime passing. Tell them say you love them for you see them in a coffin. Let me tell you this, man. Good days, bad days. You know say you with up. Me would have trade house and car and cheddar. Just forget 1 more minute with my brother. So you get up, spend time together. Cherish every second of the day when you're there. Gotta tell you, that you're the close one yesterday. You put an angel over
the simple things are your blessings. Simple things, them are your blessings, your blessings. Simple things are your blessing. And you don't notice your blessings. The simple things are your blessings. Simple things, them are your blessing, your blessing. Simple things, them are your blessing. You better notice your blessings. We've got life, so let's live. You make the time to chase the paper. When last you say a prayer. We've got life, so let's live. And while you're worshipping your treasure, remember nothing lasts forever. The simple things are your blessings. Simple things, them are your blessings, your blessings. Simple things, them are your blessings. You better notice your blessings. The simple things, them are your blessings. Simple things, them are your blessings, your blessings. Simple things, them are your blessings. You better notice your blessings. Simple things. Oh, the simple things.
Aren't you all just excited for the exhibition after that sneak peek? Well, I know I am. Women have been making strides in various fields, and media is no exception. Today, we will explore the topic, Women in Media, Navigating the Contemporary Industry, to provide some insight about the nature of the job and what it is truly like for women in the media industry. Please join us in welcoming University of Technology Jamaica lecturer and/or moderator, Mr. Rolando Smith.
And thank you very much, Sheon, for that wonderful introduction. You know, ladies and gentlemen, in the words of international superstar Miss Rihanna Fenty, it takes a special kind of woman to be able to navigate the world that is dominated by men. According to her, she says that it takes grace, strength, intelligence, fearlessness, and the nerve to never take no for an answer. Well, this morning, ladies and gentlemen, we have a few ladies who didn't take no for an answer, especially as they wanted to leave their legacy, to leave their footprints in the media and communications landscape. Well, as you heard earlier, my name is Mr. Rolando Smith, and I am pleased to be your moderator for this panel discussion. Of course, the panel discussion is a staple here at the BACAT final year exhibition. We didn't have any last year for obvious reasons, but you know, we're back and we're ready to go. So that's not why I'm excited though, ladies and gentlemen. I'm excited to be the sole thorn among the beautiful roses, these bevy of beauties, these women who have been leaving their footprints in the media landscape. And I'm going to be introducing them quickly to you. I know that most of you are already au fait or familiar with them, but as I call their names, I'm just gonna ask them to just give a little wave or indication, and we're gonna be hearing a little bit from them in a few. So let's go. Ready for our discussion? The theme of our discussion, just to remind you, is women in the media navigating the contemporary industry. So let's meet them. She is the only female host of the daily sports show Sportsmax Zone and producer sports anchor on Scene TV, Miss Mariah Ramharak. That's our first panelist, Mariah. And she's a digital marketer by profession. So far, she has worked with several local companies in varying communication and marketing roles. Most notably, she was the social media manager for some of Jamaica's largest brands, including Heineken Jamaica, the Ministry of Tourism Jamaica, Magnum Jamaica and the Caribbean, as well as Ray and Nephew. Our next panelist is Miss Renee Smith. My namesake there. Welcome, Renee. All right, our next panelist is multifaceted and efficient, a multifaceted and efficient, self-driven and reliable professional with over 10 years of experience in diverse administrative positions. And she's a former student here at BACAT, and she's a consultant, entrepreneur, and media manager. Ladies and gentlemen, our next panelist, Miss Tenuke Doyley. And finally, she has been working in media for over 20 years. Her daily current affairs program, Beyond the Headlines, on Radio Jamaica will celebrate 25 years on air this year. And her weekly current affairs program, All Angles, on Television Jamaica this year celebrates 15 years. She's also an attorney at law, Mrs. Dion Jackson Miller. All right, so welcome, ladies. All right, let's get into it. So ladies, the media industry is of course an ever-changing construct which requires some amount of adaptability and innovativeness and character. So in this discussion, we're going to be chit-chatting. We're going to be talking about a few things. How has it been for you in the media and communications industry? What are some of the plights that you've had to, overcome, particularly in this day and age amidst the global pandemic? And I think this is the part many persons want to hear about. How does your job differ in comparison to your male counterparts? So of course, we're going to be hearing from them, ladies and gentlemen. What I will do is that I'll start by opening up the floor, and I'll be giving all of our panelists an opportunity to give their views, their perceptions, their response on the theme, of course, which is women in the media navigating the contemporary industry. So who should I start with? Let's start with you, Mariah. Hi, Mariah.
Right. So I guess I'm the lucky one.
Yes, you are. Go right ahead,
All
my
right.
dear.
So a special good morning to everyone. I just want to say a hearty congratulations to all the final year students. I can imagine, the massive sigh of relief. I even, just being a part of this, I remembered my day at university. I mean, I went to UE, which is not UTech. I'm not, not aware of the different programs and all this, but I'm pretty sure it's very similar because all universities, we try to keep a certain standard where all the different programs are involved. So, I know the graduates will be waiting, just to finish and reap all the rewards of those sleepless nights and, the hard work that they put in. I feel as if, the theme chosen for today's event was especially fitting, preserving our virtual footprint. It's no secret that we live in unprecedented times and there's so much that, we're not really sure of. But what we do know as journalists is no matter the circumstance, we are expected to do our best. And we are held accountable by the public. People are depending on us for our knowledge and for our information to get through the pandemic. So the narrow topic for today, women in media navigating the contemporary industry. I feel like once I hear the word woman, to me, it screams adaptability. At the core of every woman is the ability to just do what we have to do. We are expected to be at home, be moms, just the traditional view. We are expected to do what we have to do and do it to the best of our ability. I think for me, being in the media at such a very young age, because I started right out of university. As soon as I came out of UE, I was, thankfully, I applied for an internship and I got it at TV6 in Trinidad and Tobago. And I feel as if, my career has really skyrocketed quickly because now I sit between two of the best, George Davis, who was our featured speaker today. I am the only woman on the panel with George, and then Lance Whitaker, a name in Jamaica that everybody knows. So what I will say is being in the media teaches you as a woman to be strong. I feel like the key word to getting through everything, especially this pandemic, is being able to adapt. For me personally, being away from home, being in Jamaica, because I'm from Trinidad and Tobago, having my borders locked was something that came to me as a shock because when I signed with Sportsmax, it was, okay, so you're going to go to Jamaica and work and you'll have the option of going back home whenever you want to go back if something seems, tough. But then our prime minister decided to lock the borders. So I feel like that was just an additional stress for me. Like, okay, so you're here and you just have to adapt, as I said. So another thing that came to me as a surprise is, yes, we have our sister station, Scene TV. I was hosting the sports show. When the pandemic came, the newsroom was short. Jamaica went into, lockdowns in different areas. So yours truly had to move from the sports desk to anchor the newscast, which again is, what we women do. We're strong. We know how to adapt. Back home, I was anchoring the news. So I feel as if the company felt, all right, Mariah, you will step up, you will write news, you'll come off the sports desk and you'll do what you have to do. What I will say is also being, a woman in the media, you just need to know how to be versatile. You just need to know when opportunities come, take it. And I'm not saying that it's going to be a bed of roses. It never is. It's, every day I sit between George and Lance and I have to remind myself, whatever comes out of my mouth needs to make sense because people will obviously judge me harder than they'll judge a man in a sports world. Sports is a man's world. So George can say something, I can say the same thing, and they'll be like, maybe she's just here because of her face. Maybe she's just here because they needed a woman on the show. And I feel like those are things we'll have to go through. And as I said, I'll navigate, I'll get through what I have to do. And it's never bad. It's never all bad. Working through day by day, I'll say it's tiring, it's challenging, but it also has been very fulfilling, very inspiring, and definitely rewarding. And, it just reminds us the true mark of a woman is inner strength. We get it done because we are women, and it's just what we do. We're built that way.
Thank you so very much, Mariah. They're speaking about the importance of adaptability and being able to overcome any challenge or circumstance. And she shared some of the challenges that she had to overcome. And just to paraphrase what she said something that was a little poignant. She said that some persons can actually make a mistake and get away with it. But if she makes a mistake, persons may not necessarily be as forgiving. And we're going to touch that point. We're going to discuss that some more. Thank you very much, Mariah. Let's move on to Miss Renee Smith. Hi, Renee.
Hi, good morning, and thank you again so much for allowing me to be a part of this event. It has truly been wonderful so far, just watching the work that the students have done. I am so grateful to be here, and I'm so honored to be among this esteemed panel. So, though I'm a media practitioner by experience, I've actually I started off working with NCU Media Group when I was there because I went to NCU. And so I worked at the radio and TV station like throughout college. But when I left university, surprisingly, I could not get a job in media. And I pivoted, that word that we've been using since 2020, pivoted over to digital marketing where I've been for the past decade. And it's something, it's amazing that even in this field where you should expect that it's all digital, it's all should be new and savvy, it involves a lot of media. And primarily, we have had challenges with, where we see women falling into certain roles and men falling into other roles, especially in management at times. But as with anything, as George David said in his panel, in his presentation earlier, we have to adapt. We have to have a strong sense of self. We have to go into that role knowing what we want out of it. And as women, we cannot allow ourselves to be spoken down to. Not always a fight, but you just have to navigate that space with some amount of grace, and we typically find our way through. So digital marketing though does involve a lot of what I learned at university, video editing, stepping on air, to probably do a presentation. For us, it's not just that, it's not a newscast, it's more like a blog or, an intro and outro for a social media video. You have to know your sound equipment as well. It's not always where we're going to have a sound technician, so we do have to get hands-on and, test our own sound, have our mic set up, etc., etc. So it's very dynamic. It's very interesting to watch a juxtaposition to what we would typically treat as something that was totally isolated in media, and just how we're able to bring those skill sets over to digital marketing and then still make it relevant to this space, especially now that we're going through a global pandemic.
Thank you very much, Renee. And interestingly, there are a lot of students online who are particularly interested in digital marketing. So I'm sure they're happy to have you. Thank you very much. All right, let's go over to Miss Tenuke Doyle to hear her take on the theme. Go ahead, Tenuke. Tenuke, we're not hearing you. Is your microphone on? Could you just check to see? Right, I think it is muted. Can you unmute your mic? Oh, you have? Okay, while we sort out the technical difficulties, I am going to... Can we hear her in studio now? No? All right, let's go to Mrs. Jackson Miller, and then we'll sort that out in UK and then get back to you, all right? Stand by. All right, Mrs. Jackson Miller, over to you.
Hi, everybody. Hope you can hear me, although you're not seeing me, just seeing my peak. We seem to be having some technical problems, which, as you know, we've been having in the Zoom era a bit.
Yes, we're hearing you. Go ahead.
But hey, I have a picture up, so at least you know what I look like. So all right. So first of all, congrats to UTech and all the UTech students. I should say to you, I've always got really great feedback about the final year projects that UTech does. Not just from Marlene, who might be said to have a vested interest and be a little bit biased, but my friend and business associate Archibald Gordon, who has come and looked at your work and does some of the judging and whatever, has always been hugely impressed with the work coming out of UTech. So kudos to that, guys. And certainly just a little bit of a teaser reel that you showed me there showed that the standard continues to be high. There are a couple of issues I would say that women in media face. A couple of them might be particular to the fact that they're women. Some other issues women are going to face no matter which industry you're in. So I just highlight three. There's one that people for some reason don't tend to talk a whole heap about, and it's actually huge. It's huge, which is childcare. What you going to do with your kids? This is an industry, whether you're talking about mainstream media or you're talking about PR and communications and stuff like that, in which they're going to be long hours. This is not a 9-to-5 industry. You're going to have long hours. A lot of times you're going to have to work on weekends. A lot of times you're going to have to work on public holidays. Certainly in the case of mainstream media, you have to work in cases of national emergencies. When there is, this is just a norm in our industry. When it is, for instance, that a hurricane is coming, everybody is packing up and getting ready to batten down at home. You're probably in the newsroom, depending on whether you're on the team that goes out before the hurricane or that goes out after the hurricane. Where's your child going to be? And sure, if you have a partner, your partner is supposed to be responsible for childcare and is supposed to be taking part in childcare. But I remember at the very, very beginning of my career, I wasn't even media at the time. I was working in environmental management at what is NEPA. I was doing a project management course, and it was mostly women in the course, and they were saying, hey, okay, y'all have to break at 1 because we have to go pick up. And they said to me, look, you might be married, you might have your husband, your partner, whatever it is, but a lot of the times it's going to come down to you. And I'm not here to have a philosophical discussion or gender affairs discussion as to what should be. I am simply saying to you that in many cases, the responsibility for childcare continues to fall on the woman. Even if you do partner with somebody, a lot of it is going to be you. So you have to have a plan in terms of how that is going to work. I've been very fortunate at various areas of my career in terms of how that has worked for me. I spent 10 years in Montego Bay, where my children were born and where they grew up to the point where they were 10, 6, that kind of thing, before I came to Kingston. And that's where my husband is from. So his mother lived there. So she was always available, late nights, weekends, whatever. And so family is absolutely critical. When I came to Kingston, I didn't have family. I got a household worker who was absolutely wonderful, really wonderful. I mean, she would go with my kids to swimming, all that kind of thing, to watch them, because me not in this thing where pick me a swim and nobody now watch them, all right? Because me want somebody who is at the side of if I can't be there, somebody have to be there for me at the side of the pool with them eye on my 2 picnic and nobody else. So I'm paranoid like that. And yeah, so my household worker would do that. When it was that my husband was working out at Tom and I was working late on Beyond the Headlines, I was never going to be that person who have a household helper who is working 20 hours a day. And I can't do the nanny thing because that just give me the heebie-jeebies. It's having somebody in my space is just not a thing for me. So at that time, I had 2 household workers who would work on shift. One would work till 5, and then the other one would come in at 5 and be there until I got home. My point is just that there are going to be different kind of solutions you have to craft, but just think of it, especially knowing some women and men have to carry their kids to work. I never wanted to do that. And fortunately, I've never had to. No, with COVID, obviously, that's not an option and it's a different set of challenges. My point just being that is one thing that you have to deal with as a woman in any industry, but certainly as a woman in media. So it's something you have to give thought to. My second point would be that men like to talk down to women, right? And that's something, again, you'll find in almost any industries, but you're going to find it in media. So, for instance, I've heard women in corporate speak about how, a man will give an idea, they'll give an idea and it's okay, sure. And then a man gives it and suddenly it's received in a different way. I haven't necessarily had that problem. I have had the problem consistently of men not liking to be challenged by women. And I'm in an industry in which I challenge people, right? They don't like to be, especially I find a lot of older men in particular. I'm not finding it as much with some of the younger men, but also it's difficult for me to generalize there because I am also older, clearly, than I used to be, and I'm more established. I have more of a reputation, so I wouldn't necessarily get the same reaction from somebody as a young journalist who is just starting out. So you do have to bear that in mind when I say I don't really have it as a problem. No. They also like to do this thing when men are being challenged or being made uncomfortable, they start to use diminutives to you, darling, sweetheart, and whether it is that they use it in a crass way, street way, or they'll do it in a very, uptown Sinatra accent kind of way, but it's something that you get, Let me tell you something, sweetheart, right? It's a kind of phraseology you get from men when you're making them uncomfortable and they don't like to be challenged. And that, again, you have to prepare yourself for that and also decide how it is you're going to respond. My way of responding over the years has been very upfront and in your face, and do not call me that. My name is Dion. Other people might not be as comfortable doing that. And I know there are some people who think I'm rude, but that's okay. I'm good with that. You don't have to call me Mrs. Jackson Miller or Mrs. Miller, because I'm a very casual, informal person, but you do need to call me my name, right? And the darling and the sweetheart thing just not cutting it. And I find that, I remember once years ago, Motty Perkins was alive. I was doing an interview and I was a very young journalist. They're not necessarily very well known on Beyond the Headlines with, I think it was Danny Buck of blessed memory, Danny Buchanan, former parliamentarian. I was pushing in on an issue and he kept calling me darling, let me tell you something, darling, until I got completely fed up and I said, my name is Dion Jackson Miller. And Motty spoke about it for years, because it's a kind of thing that tends to be unusual. We tend not to push back against that kind of damn out of orderness, pardon my language, and a lot of us accept it. And I do find that people treat you, this is not original, but it's a phrase that has always stuck with me. You teach people how to treat you, so you need to make it clear that enough it touch you, do not touch me, and they're not to speak to you in a certain way. And you can do it without being rude. Don't follow me. Like I said, people say I'm rude, but you certainly can make it clear. Please don't touch me, because some men like, they touch, they like to touch, they see and then feel say they must touch you. And young journalists in particular have a problem with this, women journalists, because we are in a business where you have to be asking so much. You're perpetually asking for an interview, asking for a comment, calling men, following up with them. So you have to be very professional and draw that line and make them know so enough to take no step with you. All right. The third thing I would mention quickly is it's an industry that's very unforgiving of ignorance. And when you come across as making mistakes, making simple errors, not knowing who is a minister of education, or mixing up a state minister with a cabinet minister, things like that, it's very easy for people to develop a view of you that, okay, you're not really serious, or do nothing. Because this is an industry in which institutional knowledge, institutional memory and knowledge are actually really, really important in terms of you're doing background interviews, you're doing interviews, especially with, again, older people, not necessarily only men alone, but people who have been around for a while. They're not just come, they have a history, they have a background, they've commented on this issue before. They have a, there's a vast archive of things, of their positions on certain things. The way around this is always preparation. There are so many opportunities now to prepare more than ever before, and I still find that very few reporters do the work. It's hard work to prepare properly. I did an interview, for instance, with PJ Patterson a couple of years when his book had come out, and I mean, it took me about 1 week to prepare for that interview. Right, I read the entire book, and I was in the Gleaner archives for about a week, because on every single issue he mentioned in the book, giving his perspective, I went back and I read up all the newspaper articles, what was written at the time, what was said, what everybody said on the particular issue, and anything he said, if he said, for instance, he mentioned Iran sugar deal, which people have long called a scandal, when I read up on the Iran sugar deal, there was nothing scandalous about it. There was a public inquiry where a judge of the Supreme Court said there is nothing that PJ Patterson had done wrong here. On the other hand, so when he mentioned that, I was able to say, okay, I referenced the public inquiry, I referenced the conclusion that the judge had come to, and we were able to, and you moved on. When it came to Shell waiver scandal now, and he was saying he did nothing wrong, I was able to say, hold on, there are some issues here because questions were raised as to so and so and so. So again, that kind of thing comes with hard work, comes with preparation, and I do find that there are very few journalists, both younger and older, who do that kind of work. Whenever you do it, you can spot it, and people have more time for you. And I'm speaking especially to you as young journalists. People have more time for young people who do their work, who you can say serious, who professional, who come to something prepared, and who have are serious about building a solid reputation. I'm going to leave it there, and we can pick up on anything else in the Q&A.
Mrs. Jackson Miller there taking us to school. Thank you very much, Mrs. Jackson Miller, for your insight on the theme, Women in the Media, Navigating the Contemporary Industry. And I know students who are with us, and I know those of you who are watching, you have your questions for Mrs. Jackson Miller and the other members of the panel. But as she alluded to just now, we'll be having a little Q&A at the end. So you can write down, make notes, and we will facilitate your questions towards the end. All right, we're going to check in with Ms. Doyley again to see if we can hear her this time. Tenuke? Still not hearing her. Not hearing. All right, Tenuke, would you like to try to log out and log in? Do you want to try to do that? Or probably remove the headset, the earphones? Probably that may still not hearing. Okay, you're going to try to log in. All right, so we're going to continue with the discussion until Ms. Doyley is able to join us again. This is live, ladies and gentlemen. These things do happen. Don't worry about it. We will have her as soon as we're able to sort out those technical glitches. All right. Now, ladies, I'm going to jump right into it. I know each of you alluded to it in your opening presentation. On the face of it, it seems that women are progressing beyond the initial stages. We see a lot of women in various capacities in the media and communications landscape. Now, this question may be a bit weird, but I'm sure we can divulge some information out of it just the same. Is it a situation where you think that women and men are actually on a leveled playing field in the media and communications landscape? So anyone can take that question.
If you're speaking from a position of progressing in the industry, sure, I don't think there are those kinds of barriers. I mean, I came into media at a time where my news editor was a woman. The editor that was Jennifer Grant. The editor before her at Radio Jamaica, Janet Mott, I beg your pardon, was a woman. And the editor after Jennifer Grant, Moya Thomas, was a woman who then went on to head TV and radio news when RJR bought TV, RJR bought TVJ, bought JBC. Right. So I have never seen being a woman as a barrier in terms of progressing. Right now, the head of TV, for instance, is Claire Grant, who is another woman. So I don't think in terms of moving up, in terms of editorial and management, that gender has those kinds of structural barriers. I think the barriers are more the kind of ones that I mentioned that come with the job.
Okay, so it is easy for, well, I wouldn't say easy. The possibility exists for women to actually progress, but is it more challenging than probably for a man to progress? Mrs. Jackson Miller.
Well, just in terms of the issues I mentioned. So there's nothing in terms of the work that's gonna hold you back. You can do stories just as great as a guy. They'll be recognized, you'll be promoted and whatever, but it's an issue of, do you want to be working public holidays? Do you want to be, and remember, as you move up, the responsibility increases. So if it is that a reporter can't come in on a weekend, it's a news editor who comes in and runs a shift. do you want to be doing that? If it is that we get short-staffed, for instance, and it's a news editor who is going to pick up the slack. If it is that there is a hurricane or an earthquake, I can tell you there is no way in hell, as a news editor, you can say you're at home, right? You have kids, you better bring them with you, but you have to be here running the ship. So I don't think it's an issue of the job per se, putting those restrictions in your way, but it's life, and do you want the life that comes with that?
Thank you, Mariah and Renee. Would you like to chime in? Mariah, you are particularly in sports, and Renee in digital marketing. Is there a level playing field? Are we aptly progressing beyond the initial stages?
I think in sports, it's a bit more difficult, and it's not because of the industry or not because of the company that I represent. I think it's because there are so few of us. There are few women who are even, willing to venture into this. Many a times when I meet young women, because I used to tutor back home at a media school before I moved to Jamaica, the students would say, "But Mariah, how come? What do you know about sports?" And it's just that they put themselves into a box where they're scared to, venture into new things. And I think sometimes as women, we hold our own selves back. And that's something, I want the young ones who are on the platform right now to know that you don't need to hold yourself back, because there are so much opportunities, but you can only get an opportunity if you put your hands out and ask for it. And when you get it, you take it. So I feel like, even when I had to apply for this position, there was so many, about 2 people that came to the interview, because there are such few of us that can actually sit on a panel and have a conversation with men about sports. And, I feel as if more of us were to put ourselves out there, do the work. And as Dion constantly said, you really just genuinely have to do the work. Because even when I took the opportunity to come to Sportsmax, I could have sat on that panel and I could have taken myself off the panel based on what I said on that show. But I had to constantly go home. It was a work in progress, put in the work and put in more work than I was even expected, just to ensure that I got the spot, but how do I keep it?
All right, from a digital marketing perspective, Renee, level playing field?
I think there is. We don't typically encounter gender-based roles. As Dion Jackson Miller highlighted, it's really just a matter of life. One of the things when you're just starting out in digital, you might be asked to cover a lot of events, for example. This means that you're going to be on the ground normally with your clients, so with their marketing team, and you're going to be on the ground with your marketing team, photographers, videographers. For women, one of the things that we don't often think about, but we are faced with, is whether or not we have to be out and manage that, especially when we have periods. It doesn't mean that we need to have an illness. It just means that if we're on our period and we know that we'll normally get a headache, or we'd be having any kind of symptoms, cramps, etc., and painkillers can't manage it, then we typically have to take that in mind. So you find that it's a level playing field unless we encounter those scenarios where we may have to assign someone else. So to speak.
All right. Okay, thank you very much, Renee. Welcome back to Nuke. Let us see if we're able to hear you now. We're talking about whether there is a leveled playing field as it relates to media and communication practices. Would you like to just give us your thought on that? Your perspective on that? Still not hearing.
If we're not hearing her, could you just ask her to check her audio settings, to just do a test on Zoom itself with
All
that
right, so
button next to the mute button?
all right, so Ms. Smith is asking you to check your audio settings. All right, so we'll continue.
Sorry, before you move on, can I just
Yes.
jump in on something Mariah
Chime
said?
in. Go ahead.
Talking about women in sports, and I agree with her that a lot of the time the restrictions are sometimes self-imposed. So, for instance, way back when I was in Mobe, that would have been early in my career, Lance Whitaker, who was then sports editor at RJR, because I was in Montego Bay, they always have an issue with coverage outside of Kingston. And Lance called me and asked me, hey, you want to do sports? You're interested in commentating or reporting on football or anything like that? No, I didn't. I said no, not because I didn't want to take the opportunity, although my school motto and my personal motto is Carpe Diem, seize the opportunity. But actually, I really and truly wasn't interested in sports. I'm just not a big sports person. But I do agree with you, Mariah. I think a lot of the times women kind of look at things like that and say, oh, it's pure man do it. I could never do that or whatever. And so you do find the women who you see there are the ones who really put themselves out there. But again, I don't think that it's an unwillingness necessarily a lot of the time to bring women in. Certainly that hasn't been my experience here at RJR TVJ.
Okay, what would we say are some of the stereotypes that are perpetuated by women practicing in probably film and media? What are some of the stereotypes?
Well, one for sure is you got the job because of how you look. And most times that's never, because you can look one way and then once you go on, you're done. You're done for, because at the end of the day, and I feel like Dion said everything, like she preached. She literally said everything, all the right things. What comes out of your mouth when you're live is what you're going to be judged on. Because you can look at me today and say, all right, so she's a nice face. But you look at me today, tomorrow she's a nice face. But eventually she needs to make sense. The face doesn't do the job. And I feel like, many people feel as if women in the media need to look a certain way. That's not true. And we're definitely moving away from that.
Mariah, I'm sure that comes with a lot of pressure. I'm sorry, can you hear me? Yeah, I'm sure that comes with a lot of pressure, Mariah. How do you actually, from a mental perspective, how are you able to navigate through that, knowing that you're under a lot of pressure, especially because of the superficial and the aesthetics? How do you actually manage that?
Well,
is it something that is probably in the back of your mind each time you're about to make a broadcast, to do a broadcast for sports, or each time that you're going to be sitting on a panel? How do you actually navigate through that?
It used to be hard. When I now started, in the back of my mind, I always knew that I would be judged. I remember when I announced Sportsmax is international. Everybody looks at us every day. And, I used to go on YouTube when I now started and I would look at the comments. I would read the things that people would say about me. And, these social media bullies, they were getting the exact response that they wanted from me because they were making me feel horrible. I would be up at midnight, reading these comments, and I would, the next day I would come to work knowing in the back of my mind that these are the things that were said about me. I did it for about 2 weeks and then I stopped. And you know why? Because these people know who I am. I have no clue who they are. And if they were to sit one day in that seat that I sit, that would be their last day. So, now I have to say that I've grown very strong. One, being away from home, that helped a lot. I have a few people that I keep very close to me that, I really, really trust. And then I pray a lot. Like, I'm very spiritual when it comes to certain things. I love to listen to motivational speakers, women like Dion. And I keep saying that because when I saw she was a part of the panel, I was like, oh my God, I'm such a fan. People like her that, made it so far. These are the people that you look up to and you say, you know what? I'm not going to waste my time. And I'm going to take energy, my own energy, and, spend it on you because I would never know who you are. So I think it's little things like that. The people in my corner, just the prayers. And I know what I want. I know 5 years from now, I've always known what I want, the legacy that I want to leave. And there's nobody that's going to stop that. It's not going to happen.
All right, thank you very much. Tenuke is actually with us now via phone. Tenuke, we really want to hear your perspective. So let us see if we can actually hear what you have to say. We do apologize for the runaround.
Yeah, I apologize too.
Yes, I'm sure the students are looking forward to hearing what you have to say. And just a reminder, Tenuke is actually a former student here in the BACAT program. So we really want to hear your perspective. Go ahead, Tenuke.
All right, so I'd just like to say thank you guys for having me. Congrats to the final year students at, BACAT. It's such an honor to be here among these fine women in media. And yeah, I'm looking forward to, taking away some information to better myself. One of the beauties about media for me that I've experienced in a very short time is there's some amount of accomplishment in terms of when you look at something that you have been a part of and you are able to contribute to change. That has made me feel good. Lending my voice to the greater good. You know what I mean? And for me, that's a big deal. And not many people, in whatever careers that they have chosen are able to make impact certain ways. And I think in media, we have a big platform to make good change. And for me, that's kudos for me. One of the difficulties that, I have experienced, and the experience is with self, my own belief system. Like there's a fear factor when you're in, like you're not good enough and not believing in yourself enough. And as such, people will see that and they will capitalize on that and just get you all frazzled out. And so you're good at what you do, but because of your own belief system, it does not get to come to the fore. And then, as Dion has said, that media can be very unforgiving. And you have one chance to make it right, and chances are, when you get that one chance and you blow it, eat that. But does that mean you're not good? Does that mean you can't bounce back? Does that mean you can't do something else? And so for a lot, for many years, people, when they think of media, people only think of radio. People only think of TV. They only think of, reading the news, etc., etc. But now things have diversified and become big. Media and communication is everything. Our expertise are needed in everything. And right now, I'm not in mainstream media. I was a producer at CBM TV for entertainment. And I'm not doing that right now because I'm a mother. And I have a child that I have to take care of that's doing homeschool. And so that would not work for what is needed. And I don't necessarily have a community to assist me, with, navigating that whole virtual learning. So I had to make a decision. Heartbroken, but I had to do it. Watch this. I am now an executive assistant to the greatest athlete the world has ever seen, Usain Bolt. And communication, to my surprise, has helped me in a ginormous way because of how many, different people that I have to speak with, that I have to deal with, and how I have to present myself. It's no joke. You know what I mean? And so women are trendsetters. Women in media are trendsetters. And there are so many things that we can do because we know how to use our hands on fashion. And so we are creators in every aspect of the word. Creator, you know what I mean? And so we are the it. If only we believed it, that we are. And so I'm imploring us as women to, we already have the goods, it's innate. Just take it by force, we just do it. And let the chips fall where they may, and do it in such a way that if you should close your eye tomorrow, you were able to make an impact. That's the legacy I wanted. Impact in whatever I do. And I've always said, if I'm a janitor, I'm going to be the best janitor that you've ever seen. And that's what I want to do with my degree and with the platform that I have. My name, not because I'm the only person in the world named Tenuke, but my whole, my everything should be so different and pristine and just nice that when people hear my name, they know exactly, oh, that's the girl. Yeah, I'd love to work with her. I'd love to do something with her, etc. Yeah, love it. Absolutely.
All right, thank you very much, ladies. Now, in the interest of time, we're going to give the persons who are viewing on this platform an opportunity to ask their questions. So we're going to allow the persons to ask their questions at this time. But before I allow persons to utilize the raise hand feature and, pose their question to the panelists, I am going to address some of the questions that have been posted in the chat. And if my producer can assist me, let me see if I can get a question. All right, so here's one question, and this question is for Mrs. Jackson Miller. And Daniel says that Mrs. Jackson Miller spoke earlier about being spoken down to by males. And I want to know if any of you have ever been in that situation and how did you handle it? So just to rephrase, Mrs. Jackson Miller actually spoke about some of the issues in the media landscape, how it is that she was spoken, or how it is that she was addressed by males, and they want to find out if any of you ladies have ever been placed in that situation and how did you actually manage?
Every day. I feel as if, just being a woman, it gives people the idea that they can speak, they can raise their voice, they can, and as you can tell, I'm not a very loud person. Thankfully for a microphone, my viewers are able to hear me every day. So when people shout, I don't like that, because I guess growing up, I've never really had to deal with that. And we all have different backgrounds and we all grew up differently. Just, being in a man's world, they feel as if the stronger person is the person that speaks the loudest. And that's not necessarily how it goes. For me, dealing with it, sometimes, I started to do it now. I started saying, why do you need to shout though? Like, I can hear what you're saying. You don't need to speak so loud. It's fine. And I feel like when I do that, most times these people, they kind of pull back and they're like, no, I wasn't shouting. But it's just me now pointing out that, listen, what you're doing doesn't work well. And I just say to the person that asked the question, you don't need to be rude. I mean, there will come a point where if you keep taking it and you're not speaking out about it, you're going to get angry and you're going to snap. And you never want to be seen in that manner. You don't want to be seen walking around as this angry woman. And the first thing people say when you snap is, one, you're either on a period, two, maybe a man left you, or, it's always something. It's never that you did something wrong and I'm just saying, you know what, it's enough, stop. So I feel as if, once it happens, you just have to, as they say, nip the bud in, what they say, nip the bud in the root or something, nip it in the bud. Yeah, that's what they say in the Caribbean. You just do that, and as I said, you don't need to be rude. You don't need to be disrespectful. Just say, I can hear, it's fine. You don't need to speak so loud. It's all right.
Tenuke or Renee, would you like to chime in? Have you been in any similar situation?
Yes, I have. No, the next thing is digital marketing is somewhat has somewhat been an informal industry, I would say, in Jamaica. And what you find is a lot of agencies typically are freelancers who've been getting called additional work and then they end up having an agency. Exactly like that. It's never a business, it's not necessarily a structured business model. So we've had some roles where we have employers who have never been trained to lead or manage a team. And so I can remember instances where I've actually been shouted at. I mean, shouted at, called an idiot. It's like, I don't know why I hired you, sort of a shouting match over seemingly nothing. Nothing would ever warrant that. It is not okay to ever accept that. And in those situations, when that first happened, I was shocked. Out of my, I think I couldn't even speak. The second time it happened, which was just in a span of an hour, by the way, I just I think you're reacting to something else that has nothing to do with me. I'm going to wait until you calm down and you can speak clearly about the matter at hand. And I stepped away. Thankfully, I've had some very strong women who, kind of helped to mold me in that way because, my, Jamaican growing up in the country, my grandmother would never take that, and she raised us to speak for ourselves, and she would use some choice words. But in the world of work, we have to be very mindful of how we speak, as George David said. We have to know what we can deal with, and we have to understand that we can't always just speak our mind, and we have to come across as addressing the situation at hand and not trying to be, the bitter woman. So that's why I've had to deal with it.
All right, thank you very much, Renee. I'm going to read one last question in the chat, and then I'll go over to other questions from individuals who would like to pose their questions. And this question is from Mr. Adrian Williams. He says, I have seen where our women, especially in the Western world, have really stepped up and progressed. So do we think at this stage we should be highlighting every achievement of women as something special? So should we be highlighting all the achievements as something special? So in a sense, are we making too much out of this, seeing that we've progressed beyond the initial stages where we didn't have a lot of women in the media? What do you guys think about that?
I'd like to jump in on that. Somebody needs to mute, perhaps. Okay. All right. And let me start by mentioning that Mary Seacole Hall, of which I'm a past resident, has this awesome program. It's a summer camp called I'm Glad I'm a Girl, in which they take about 20 kids every year from underserved communities, bring them on to Mary Seacole, and they go through a whole intense week with them in terms of introducing them to university, counseling, all wonderful, dealing with period issues, all kinds of wonderful things. And the reason I mention that is that the reason it's called I'm Glad I'm a Girl is that Nadine Spence, who is the person whose idea it was, said that when she started working with some of these girls, she found that a lot of them hated being a girl for all kinds of reasons, whether abuse, whether they saw opportunity, lack of opportunities in their area, whether because of how they were treated, whether because just they saw the difference between them and the boys that they were growing up with. A lot of them felt, and remember, we're talking contemporary, we're talking now, a lot of them feel, perhaps I should say, less than, and they literally hate being a girl. So she called the program I'm Glad I'm a Girl. And the whole week is spent in empowerment and trying to say, hey, it actually is wonderful being a woman, and this is why. And so that's my way of answering that question, to say we need to be very careful. And I find this is a big problem in middle class Jamaica and in Twitter Jamaica, in terms of thinking that the people we hear and see around us make up Jamaica. Right? And that's so not so. There's so many, I mean, the experiences I reference for myself, I say them with a very clear understanding of the fact that I speak from a place of privilege. I understand that, but I think that is the key. You have to understand that there are many people who are not in your position. There are many people who are not seeing, the woman in the boardroom, the woman who heads the media company, who are not seeing that women are so wonderful and so powerful. So yes, in response to your question, yes, every time a woman makes it to somewhere that no woman has made it before, or anytime a woman makes it in any way, yes, we should big them up. We are, because when we do so, it empowers all those little girls who perhaps cannot see themselves in that space and who do not naturally live in an environment in which that is the norm.
And Dion, I just feel as if, as women, we need to cheer each other on like all the time, because sometimes, our biggest enemies are another woman. The first person to say no for a woman to come into a company is another woman. And that's just so sad, because, I keep, saying, you can make a space for yourself. There's so much space for me. Yet, most of the times when I was turned down and they said no for jobs where I was concerned, it was another woman saying, mm-mm. And, that's really, really worrying. And I hope that, all the women right now that are in positions to help another one, they can, do that, because we already know the amount of things that we have to deal with. Why would you want to make it difficult for somebody else, especially because you know?
Yeah, I mean, I have to say that again, I know I've been fortunate. I've never had I hear the question the moderator asked a little bit early on about stereotypes. And one of the stereotypes is that women are terrible bosses. And again, that has not been my experience. I've had bosses which are men who are men. I've had bosses which are women who are women. It's an issue of personality, I have found. You know, some men are jerks, some women are jerks. But it is a stereotype, an unfortunate one. But I agree with you, Mariah. I believe in bigging up women and continuing, as I said, to empower and celebrate women who are doing well.
Experienced life on a different level. Them just know for them look a corner, you know what I mean? So when a woman comes out and she does well and represents herself well and represents her grandmother and an entire generation, then yes, we have to celebrate that. And as Dion said, that the people that we have in our circle, because we're privileged and we are able to have a panoramic view and we are in a certain circle, then we have the little girl down the road, the couple girls down the road in one community that only know them four walls. They need to be inspired. And so when a girl squeezes out of a certain kind of a situation and gets to another level, then we need that chain to be continued. We need to let her know that, listen, you can do this. Yes, women on every level must be celebrated every day, all day. It's necessary. It is said that you teach a man, you teach an individual, but when you teach a woman, you teach the entire nation. And that's what we're all about, nation building. And so, yes, we must be celebrated.
Thank you very much, Tenuke. Ladies and gentlemen who are viewing, it's your opportunity at this point in time to ask some questions. And in between that, I'll try to see if I can get some questions from the chat as well. But of course, we're just going to be asking you to, follow the protocol. Just indicate by raising your hand, and our producers in studio will assist me in identifying the persons who would have wanted to ask a question. So do we have our first person? I'm seeing Miss Facey. Go ahead, Miss Facey, Marilyn Facey.
Hi, I think a part of what I wanted to raise was just addressed. I was wondering about the role you women play and other women in the media landscape in mentoring other women. When I started in media, I was very young, and I'm very grateful for Emily Shields now. It was Emily Crooks then at Nationwide, who really took me under her wing. And then when I went to RJR, Dion Jackson Miller as well. But it's a sense of empowerment, because it can be a bit of an intimidating landscape. So I was wondering, since you are now in a position, I'm going to say a position of influence, are you taking that opportunity to mentor other women? And if not that question, do you think it is important then that women mentor other women, especially young female communication practitioners coming into the industry?
Facey, did you have a specific panelist that you wanted to address that? Or anyone can take it? All right, so the question is open to anyone.
I think for me, it would be a bit difficult to mentor because of the hours that I work, because I come into office at 9 and then I leave at 8 o'clock after the newscast. So it's sort of like, where do I find the time? When I was back home though, in Trinidad, I would, on the weekends, I used to go and do, some service for the school that I said I would tutor and whatnot. So that, allowed me the opportunity to do it. But whenever I get, so like this is, I would say this platform today is, you know, an aspect of me actually mentoring younger people, because, you know, I took some time out of what I have to get done and, you know, I'm talking, but to say like I do it consistently, it's a bit difficult because, I mean, we have really, really exhausting work schedules. What I tend to do though is whenever people reach out to me on social media, especially young women who need guidance, assistance, they would ask me like, you know, Mariah, what did you study? You know, how did you get into this? I always take time and I reply. And the reason I do that is because when I was in that position, I would reach out. I remember I would send emails to all these top media hosts and whatnot, and they'd never respond. And I hated that. Like, it really annoyed me because I'm like, why would you not want to help? It's not like, you know, I'm not asking for anything. It's just like some advice. And I always told myself I would never do that to somebody, especially if they're genuinely interested. So from time to time, I would get these messages on LinkedIn, and, you know, over the weekend, I would take time and really craft a response and genuinely respond to them.
I would say for me, it's more on the job. Marilyn, as Marilyn alluded to, I tend to work with my producers and my PAs because we tend to hire very young producers and PAs. So, and I do find they need a lot of guidance. I have to tell you, I don't really take a gender approach to it. For me, is if my spirit take you and if I think you're serious about the work, right? If I think you're serious about the work, I will spend hours working with you, helping you edit your script, helping you discuss your projects and whatever. If I don't think you're serious about the work, I have no time for you, straight up. So, I mean, I work with both young men and young women, but those really are my criteria. It's just easier for me to work with the ones who are officially assigned to me, because then you already have a structure in place in terms of, you know, I can help craft a program for them, make suggestions and stuff like that. But yeah, I tell you something about mentoring. One of the critical things I think is, as I mentioned, the mentee has to show that they were serious. I was participating in a program involving a US student, and we set a particular time to meet one morning, and I was there on a call, and I said, hey, where are you? Oh, I'm on hall. I was waiting for you to call me. I was like, what? Okay, I'm going about my business because you're not serious. So you do have to bear in mind that if people are taking time out of what is, as Mariah said, often crazy schedules, no waste people time. You for the wait for me, I'm not supposed to wait for you, all right? Because I'm giving you free time that's worth probably 15, 20,000 an hour. And you have to take that very, very seriously.
Renee Robinson in the chat is asking, what aspect of the media would you say has the most bias as it relates to gender? So which particular component of the media, in your opinion, has the most bias as it relates to gender? Media or communications landscape? You want to take us through that one, Renee?
No, I'm saying that's a good question, okay. But I think Mariah answered that earlier when she was saying it's interesting that women are chosen in certain fields based on their looks. I mean, speaking from my experience, which is a long time ago still, but still in when I studied media many years ago, I wasn't considered as having the face for being a presenter. So I wasn't allowed to be a presenter in any of my projects for school. So it's just an opportunity that I completely missed out on, a whole segment of learning that I wasn't qualified for because of a look that somebody deemed that I should have. So that was a thing. I'm not sure if it's still a thing right now. So Maria and Dion, could best answer.
I don't feel like it's a thing anymore, at least not in my industry, because, for me, it's more of knowing the facts and speaking, being able to moderate the panel, having the same amount of information as men. So I wouldn't say that in sports. I don't feel that way. It's sad that, people bring it down to that at the end of the day, because that's what they reduce you to, a face. But I wouldn't say, not for me. I feel Dion might know some more.
No, I mean, I honestly couldn't say there is any specific aspect that is gender biased. I think there are areas in which you still don't see a lot of women So
Yeah.
camera work is one that readily comes to mind, in which I still don't see a lot. I don't think we have any female cameramen, but I don't think that if we got a great camera person who was a woman who was applying for a job, she would be turned down because of that.
It's so funny because I remember just last week I was saying to one of my bosses, we need to get some more women in the control room. Sometimes I'm here, my hair is sticking out. These men they didn't even notice that I'm a hot mess. So I feel like we need to hire some more female directors, camera women. And he laughed and he's like, so what happened to the woman that was there before? And I'm like, I need another woman.
Girl, I went through an entire program, right, with one of my locks straight across my forehead, out of place. And I was like, no, they never see that. Me not get it.
They
So,
don't
like,
see.
after that, you have to make, yeah. So, like, after that, now I have to say, look, before every program you try, bring me up full screen so I can see what I look like on cam, because me not trust you now.
And Dion, you know, if we had a woman there, she was spotting if this outer line, if you bend, everything. And that's why I said to my boss, I was like, listen, this needs to fix.
Exactly. That's funny. You're on mute, Mr. Moderator.
Oh, yes.
I'm a trained teacher as well as a trained secretary, but one of my dreams is to be in media and communication. So is there a place for a retiree who is a woman? Tenuke? Yes.
I'd love to jump on that. Age is just a number. If you're passionate about something, just do it. There's a space for you. And if when you've entered you don't think there's a space, then create one. But there's room for creativity. And creativity doesn't have an age. It doesn't stop at 30 and 35 and 40. It goes on beyond. And guess what? I mean, with your expertise as a trained teacher, secretary, you can add so much value to the industry. But do you believe that you can? Are you in your own way? So sometimes we just have to get out of our heads, you know what I mean? And just take the bull by the horn and just do it. What does it require? You can go ahead and there are so many different short courses. You can do a degree. I mean, it's endless. The opportunities are endless. Just believe it and just do it. The time is no. Corona has come. And you know what? As bad as Corona is in a lot of places and to a lot of people, and how it has displaced so many things, it has really blessed some people, and they're coming out because guess what? They have no other choice. Survival is key. And they have to just do it and just do it big and done. And people are surprising themselves. So I think the person that asked the question, surprise yourself and do it. Jump out. If you're not tried, you won't know. That's my little 2 cents.
I agree with all of that, but I'm going to add a little bit of a caveat and a little bit
Thank
of
you very much, Tenuke. Anybody else would like to weigh in on that? If not, I have 2 final questions. So we're going to wrap up at this time, but I just wanted to find out from the panelists, what is your advice? We have a lot of students who are here, some high school students, some persons who are curious about the media industry. We have some BACAT students here in-house as well. What would be your advice to them, particularly the women who are looking to go into the media and communications landscape? What's your advice, your closing sentence or statement of sorts, or your advice to those individuals, to the students?
All right.
Let's
So
start with Mariah. Go ahead.
yeah, mine would be don't let anybody tell you that you can't do what you want to do. Because if I had done that, I would not be sitting in the position that I'm in right now. I remember the first thing I tried out for was actually a sports show. And the owner of the place told me, nah, you don't know what you're talking about. I went to 3 media houses back home. They didn't think I knew what I was talking about. It took a regional and international station, Sportsmax, which I'm very thankful for, to see that I knew what I was talking about. And if it's one company that knows that I know what I'm talking about, it's Sportsmax. And, I'm just thankful because it's so funny that now these stations that told me no, they call me now for one, advice, for two, to do side gigs for them. And there are a couple of companies I'll never say yes to. Because if at that young age, when I was probably like 19 or 20, I had allowed that one opportunity to make me say, well, you know what, I'm not good enough, I wouldn't have persevered, I wouldn't have continued. And it's sad because I was strong at that moment to say, no, I'm not going to stop. But there are so many other women that because they were told no, they didn't bother, they just gave up. And this is me telling you from experience, don't let anybody tell you, you just do what you want to do.
Bernie, advice
Yes,
to the budding media professionals.
I would say it. Maria definitely summed it up. Pivoting was crucial for me when I didn't get the media job of my dreams. I just realized that I had a communications degree. Well, I also studied info sci, but we weren't limited to just one thing. So it did not just mean that I could work in radio or TV. I could actually pivot into marketing, where I've been excelling. So it's just that you need to believe in yourself. Don't give up on yourself. If when you hear no once, and just keep going no matter what. And most importantly, ask for help. I think it was George who said it first, and Maria also. We talked about mentorship a little bit. We need to ask for help because we don't know everything. And when you're coming out of school, you might feel as if you're so bright and you're so educated and your GPA is 4.0. But still, when you reach into the world of work, you realize that you know crap. So ask for help. Don't be afraid of looking stupid. Google is your friend. And there's some things that Google can't tell you that you're actually going to need a real person for. So don't be afraid to reach out. You won't get an answer every single time. But persons like Maria will respond to you on the weekend. So look out for that.
As much as I can.
As much as you can. And I know I am even guilty of this myself, of actually doing the same thing that Maria just spoke about. Telling myself, no, I'm not starting something. As a digital marketer who's worked with a lot of companies now, and have the work to prove that you can actually do the work. I have not been doing my part in imparting that knowledge to the next generation or even to other persons in Jamaica who've not had the same opportunities. So, shameless plug here, but it's to help you. I'm also launching a digital series on my platforms, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, of digital marketing things. So you can just follow me on @I am Renee Smith and I'm at reneesmith.com. It starts on Wednesday. So hopefully I can share the information that I'm sharing here and more on those platforms, and it will be able to reach more people so that, we can actually pass on the advice that I'm not able to do in every single forum or face-to-face.
Thank you very much, Renee. Mrs. Jackson Miller.
Hi. Let me just quickly, I was trying to respond to the question about the retiree trying to get into media. I always get into trouble with follow your passion Twitter because, they always get vexed with me because I do, sure, follow your passion, but at the same time, I believe in saying you need to be realistic, right? So entry-level positions in media, it's unlikely that you'd be hired for because they pay a little bit. And which is why they like to hire people straight out of UTech or UE or NCU or whatever, because they're paying a little bit, they're expecting high turnover. They know that you're going to move on in another 2 years. You have to bear that in mind. That's not, when I tried to get into media, my background, I've never done mass comm studies formally. So I had done science, right? So when I tried to get in, they were like, oh no, you're not qualified or whatever it is. I mean, come on, I had a first degree in science, I had a master's, and you're telling me I can't do an entry-level journalism position because they can't bother to train too much. They want you to come in with a built-in set of skills already. So what do? You have to, no more than ever, you have the opportunity to think of us, how do I get into it sideways? The way I did it was to sign on with RJR as a correspondent, which is a freelance person working in the country, running up and down, getting paid by the story you do. And that then, in a very short period of time, I then got a full-time position at RGR. Is that the kind of thing you want to do or you can do? Or as I said, more than ever before, you have other opportunities. So people mentioned courses you can do. One of the courses I would recommend is that you do a course in digital journalism, for instance. That way you learn how to write and edit stories using just a mobile phone. That way you'll be able to build up a portfolio that you can actually show when it is you're applying for jobs. So it depends which area you're interested in. The point I'm making is don't think that you're going to send in a resume and you're going to get hired. Your age and your status are going to count against you in terms of hiring for a position in which you have no experience. They're going to go for the younger person straight out of thing, because plus they'll be thinking that person has more social media skills, is more digital savvy, is more digital native. So you're going to have to decide, you're going to have to think very, very strategically and figure out exactly what I want to do and figure out a roadmap to get there. I think I'll end there. I mean, because that liaises with the other question you asked in terms of general advice. My general advice is always just to show up with passion, show up with purpose, do the preparation, always do the work. That allows you to stand out, that allows you to shine. And I'm going to beg you, just let me spend 30 seconds saying this. I referred earlier to one of the issues being a woman in terms of things like having to pick up your children. Let me just say though, that you always have to remember to create a life balance, no matter how difficult it is. So whereas the picking up for kids was difficult, a friend of mine speaks of always remembering me at 4:30, jumping up from my desk with a scream going, my kids, because I'd get engrossed in the work and forget them and rush out to go pick them up. But at the same time, it was like the best part of my day. And because I knew I was coming home late, so especially when they were young, I tried to make sure that I was the one doing the pickup so that we had that little time to be with each other. And I would try to go and see their stuff during the day because I couldn't go at night. So they know that if it's a nighttime thing, PTA meeting never saw me, stuff like that never saw me, but their events in the day, I could juggle my schedule and go to. So the career thing is awesome. And I'm all for it, but at the same time, you have to find a way to make sure you build in those family things, even in the difficulty of a media job.
Tenuke?
What I'd love to say is, I'm going to borrow this phrase from a very good friend. Don't think limits. I mean, if you think that you can do something, go for it. Go for it. You never know what can happen. And you are not necessarily in charge of your destiny in terms of, you may, have one way of thinking, but God may have something else in store for you. So just be a vessel. And if you think it, go for it. Do it. Just do it. And just let the chips fall where they may. You can't control everything. You may aim, as I say, you aim for the moon and you drop on the stars. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Just do it and just don't give up. Keep on striving and thriving and just do it. And I love you guys. I feel so good. I feel like I'd go back and be a cat but do something. You know, something. I miss you guys. But yeah, that's my 2 cents.
All right, thank you very much. And I would really like to thank all of our panelists who participated. Such a rich and riveting and engaging discussion. I'm sure all of the students, I'm sure everybody learned quite a bit. Just to remind you of who our panelists were, we had Ms. Tenuke Doyley, we had Ms. Renee Smith, Mariah, Mariah, do not kill me. I'm going to find your last name. Ramharak. Forgive me, it happens. Mariah Ramharak and Mrs. Dion Jackson Miller. I would like to thank you guys on behalf of everybody here at the BA Cat family. In the BA Cat family, I am Rolando Smith and I have been your moderator, and I hope you learned a lot. Thank you very much.
Brings a solid reputation. So how about you, Sean?
Indeed, I believe that it was Miss Doyley who stated that women are able to contribute to the change for greater good, and for that we have the platform to activate such change, and we have to be able to build on that every day and every chance that we get.
One thing I must say is that was a very riveting talk with inspiring women. So for our lovely audience, please feel free to leave a comment in the chat and let us know your thoughts about the discussion.
Okay, and right now, the Bachelor of Arts in Communication, Arts and Technology program is a well-rounded degree program which looks at various forms of media practices, diverse as it is engaging. Let's learn a little bit more about what the BACAT program has to offer. Okay. Has been a very good day so far, and I do hope that you have been enjoying yourselves. And at this time, I would like to invite Miss Kayla Mendez, final year BACAT student, to give the vote of thanks. great honor that first and foremost, I express thanks to them.
No. It is with great honor and privilege that I propose the vote of thanks on this memorable occasion. First and foremost, I express thanks to the Almighty for making today's event a successful one. On behalf of my colleagues from the BACAP program, I thank you, the viewers, for tuning in. It is indeed with your help that we continue to navigate through the virtual space. Special thanks to Mr. Robert Adelson, the Public Affairs Officer at the U.S. Embassy, and keynote speaker, Mr. George Davis, President of the Press Association of Jamaica and Executive Producer of the Sports Max Limited, for sharing their indispensable knowledge with us today. To our panelists, Mrs. Dion Jackson Miller, Miss Mariah Ramharak, Miss Renee Smith, and Miss Tenuke Doyley, thank you for being a part of this riveting discussion and for paving the way within the industry for women like myself and my colleagues. We thank you, Mr. Joshua Paul, our lecturer, for being a pillar of strength who has worked diligently to ensure the success of this event. Thanks to our facilitators, Miss Megan Thomas, Mr. Jerome Shepard, Mr. Lennox Haldane, and team for technical assistance. Miss Marilyn Facey, our program director, Professor Charmaine Barrett, Dean of the Faculty of Education and Liberal Studies, heads of school, and other members of staff. Finally, I extend a big thank you to our marketing, producing, and tech team who made this event possible. Students within the final year cohort, I thank you for your assistance, and I applaud you and for having confidence to showcasing your work to the world and beyond. Once again, thanks to our lovely audience, as the show would be absolutely nothing without you. Congratulations to all final and incoming students. Remember, BACAT is not just a program, it's a place for creativity and the birthplace of greatness. We're now winding down, but guess what? The fun is just beginning. I am so excited, aren't you, Sean?
Of course I am.
It's now officially time for our exhibition. So you will be able to join different breakout rooms to view media projects for whichever category that suits your interest.
The categories for the breakout rooms include documentaries and films, radio productions, multimedia, web designs and campaigns, print, and of course, photography.
You will get to see the media projects done by our very own BACAT final year students. The students will also be in the rooms to answer any questions that you may have. We ask that if you have any questions, please feel free to type them out in the chat and they will respond to you there. Also, if by any chance you so happen to miss a project, don't worry. You can visit our website to view them all. The link, bacatexhibition.com, will be posted in the chat and the address will be on the screen.
Thank you all so much for joining us today. Just sit back and relax wherever you are and stay tuned for the exhibition, which is about to begin. Also, Before we go, please be reminded of our poetry and art show, which premieres at 5 p.m. solely on YouTube on our channel, UTech Jamaica. Once again, I am Shayon McCoy.
And I am Shoshana Lamont, and it has truly been a pleasure to. Thank you.
take a job as a journalist or as a photographer because BCAT does not focus on one skill.
Now, the thing here at UTech is that in the BCAT program, we train students to operate not only in the traditional media, but also in new media and to fuse them together. That is how the landscape has changed over the years, and that's how we are preparing students.
BCAT is an excellent program, and I recommend everyone to come.
Applicants, just come to BCAT. You guys won't regret it. I don't regret anything. I'm having a great time. And if you guys are around the world or anywhere that you guys are, just come to BCAT.
BCAT taught me how to interface with a team. It taught me a lot of additional skills apart from video, which is my love. It opened my horizons for what's possible and gave me skills that I can always rely on.
They train you to be a well-rounded individual. It is something that I don't see a lot of programs with, and it's something that I've learned to appreciate, and I've become a better person career-wise because of it.
The BACAT program is rounded because it prepares students to not only be technically equipped, they have hands-on and practical knowledge. Students become more media conscious as well as more culturally aware based on the nature of what is done in the program.
I always knew that I wanted to be a part of or be in media in some way or form, and I saw this based on what the course was offering as a perfect opportunity.
I'm a public relations officer. I could easily take a job as a journalist or as a photographer because BCAT does not focus on one skill.
Now, the thing here at UTech is that in the BCAT program, we train students to operate not only in the traditional media, but also in new media and to fuse them together. That is how the landscape has changed over the years, and that's how we are preparing students.
BCAT is an excellent program, and I recommend everyone to come.
Applicants, just come to BCAT. You guys won't regret it. I don't regret anything. I'm having a great time. And if you guys are around the world or anywhere that you guys are, just come to BCAT.
When I look at where I'm coming from, I know I'm blessed, and I close my eyes and smile. Sometimes I feel like the richest man in Babylon, and I've done my best, so everything's alright inside. Oh, every morning, I rise, I stare at the sun. I know it is a blessing. So when the evening comes, I lift up my eyes to the hills. I'm blessed, oh man, with my two hands in the air as far as I can. stare at the sun, I know it is a blessing. Yeah. Lift up my eyes to this, I'm blessed, oh man. Sometimes I'm lost and far from home, but I'll find my way. I follow my heart, I know I'll be found someday. While I'm lost, I learn and live. What do you say? Let's have a good time until that day. Oh, every morning I rise, I stare at the sun. I know it is a blessing. So when the evening comes, I lift up my eyes to this, I'm blessed, oh man. With my two hands in the air as far as I can. Yeah. As far as I can. I can, yeah. My two hands in the air as far as I can. Oh, every morning I rise, I stare at the sun. I know it is a blessing. Yeah. Lift up my eyes to this, I'm blessed, oh man. With my two hands in the air as far as I can. Yeah. Lift up my eyes to this, I'm blessed, oh man.
BCAT is an excellent program and I recommend everyone to come.
Applicants, just come to BCAT. You guys won't regret it. I don't regret anything. I'm having a great time. And if you guys are around the world or anywhere that you guys are, just come to BCAT.